So hello everybody, I'm here with Joe Fernandez behind the camera, and I'm here with Chris, your last name is
Oviedo.
Oviedo, doesn't want to pronounce it wrong. Christopher Oviedo, he's a
Yes.
student who's returned to Mercy after 10 years, and I was here actually teaching when he was a student here. We didn't cross paths then, but we crossed paths now, so it's really great to have you with me. In our cultural anthropology and environmental psychology classes, we're trying to revive our Environmental Sustainability and Justice League program so that we can make Mercy the maverick leader in this space that it has always aspired to be. And with Joe and with Tom Simmons and with others, with Craig and with the team, there is the possibility of making Mercy a mecca for people coming to study how to make the world a better place with liberty and justice for all. So that's my philosophical framing. But here is a location that has some nostalgic value for me, because as a kid, I used to come down to visit the Mercy nuns, who were great friends of mine. My mother was the dean of psychology here for a long time. I grew up here. My first job was at the Mercy Library at the age of 12. I've been teaching here for 20 years, but I used to come here through the Mercy Woods and through where the Mercy nuns graveyard was and the forest here. And even when I was a law student, I fought against this project, the landing over here, where they took down those beautiful old trees, destroyed that forest, and made a very she exclusive kind of development, cutting down the big old growth trees so they could get a better view of the Hudson illegally. So there's a lot of narrative here that goes back here. But this particular spot, I came down with Tom Simmons when I first joined the faculty full-time at 2012, 2013, 2014. We'd come down here, and this is where the dumpsters used to be. And the idea was, of course, the landing would always complain about the dumpsters, but we had a vision that we could make this into a showcase for sustainable development and the zero waste economy, the circular economy. And what we were going to do, because of the downslope, is we were going to take food grinders and what you know as garbage disposals or incinerators, put them in the cafeteria up the hill there. And then downslope, we would take all the ground up food waste and maybe even toilet waste we were talking about, and have it go into biodigesters down here, and then have a recycling center down here for then all of the clean materials that would result, and then have a precious plastics container. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. What is your name? Nice to meet you, Ravish. I'm Dr. Culhane. I used to teach here. Still teach here now. Pleasure to see you. We're just making a little video, so you might be in the video if you're not. Okay. Thank you.
Off he goes. Campus safety.
Yep. So campus safety, which is crucial. So there was this idea that we could have the recycling center down here and make this a showcase. Of course, now the landing has defeated any proposals for using this for recycling, and so they're going to plant beautiful trees along here, as I understand it, which is going to be great. A little buffer there. You can see their gazebo back there. I'm sure they want to have tea and not see students and see their cars. But the parking lot here, parking lot R, as I recall, is what it's called, right? The reserve
We've
parking
now
lot.
changed it to H lot.
Parking lot, H lot, H for hope. That's the Superman symbol. It actually means hope, as far as the Superman movie says, not S. It's not Superman, it means hope in their language. So this is a very hopeful spot, because as you can see what's happening here, it's been repaved and regraded, and there's been, to stop those horrible floods which climate change is exacerbating and really making bad. There's a lot of runoff going into the Hudson River, which is causing disruption to the wildlife there. What they've done is they've put up this wonderful barrier wall there, a retention wall with a lot of, what do they call that, wrap or something? What do they call that stuff?
That's a Gabion wall there. Gabion.
Gabion wall. So it sounds like Hadrian's wall, something ancient Romans would do. So the Gabion wall over there, which is keeping that hillside stable. I remember this hillside when it was a landfill. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, this was a landfill.
Mm-hmm.
We used to come and play on it. And we were always afraid of blasting caps going off, and it was outgassing all the time. And then Mercy transformed it into this beautiful sports area. But I remember when it was a landfill as a kid. And then the forest over here. So you've got that wall. It's got beautiful potential for doing some kind of solar technology. But you've got these incredible LED lights. Now these are downward pointing LED lights that will not radiate up into the sky and cause disruption to the night sky views, to moths and other wildlife that are dependent on moonlight and starlight
Very
for
low
their
light
navigation.
pollution. Yep.
What?
Low light pollution.
They're low light pollution. They're very low energy because they're highly tuned, nice color temperature LEDs. So they're not disruptive in the way you see the greens and the colors. If you remember in my day, Dobbs Ferry here, what you had was sodium vapor, Was it sodium vapor and mercury vapor lamps? So they were either a color temperature of like 5,400 degrees Kelvin, off to the bluish purple icky that made everything look kind of grayish, or they were that sodium vapor, which is that Bayer aspirin pinkish yellow ick light, and so this entire area looked off color to everybody, like, ugh, how can you stand it? The forest didn't look like a forest. Now you got these great color temperature, what are they, like 2,300 degree Kelvin or something, right? So really nice sort of warm glow, bringing out the beautiful colors, which creates a restive psychology. This is important for environmental psychology. You don't know, like you were talking about being in the Bronx, right?
Yes.
And you were saying how it just,
That doesn't, yeah, it's not as light as it should be, or bright as it should be, but it seems like over here we got it right. Yeah.
you don't feel the tranquility, you don't feel, and there's noise pollution,
Right.
there's environmental light pollution. These lights are beautiful in their aspect, really nice, well-chosen light lampshades.
Now tell, okay, I'm
Right.
just saying,
Yeah,
I'm
you
sorry
want to tell me the other
say-
part?
I wanted to say that why is this side with lights and this side with no lights?
A very good question, and it turns out that there is an ecological reason which shows how forward-thinking New Yorkers. Do you want to take a stab at it and explain what you remember?
Oh well, from what I remember is that with this side, it's more better for the environment for light to be over here than over here, because if the lights were to be over here, it interfere with the mate for the most part of the mammals of the
Oh, the
Hudson.
aquatic species.
Aquatic species, right? So we don't want that. We want them to be happy and wholesome, and everybody to be in one big happy family.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people don't often think about how the aquatic life here evolved in the Hudson River Basin with a certain pattern of sunshine in the day, moonlight at night, the phases of the moon. They'd feel the tidal forces. There would be starlight that was coming down. And so over millions of years, these organisms moving up and down from where Manhattan is now and into the bay and up into the northern parts here
The Hudson.
where the Hudson, where the fresh water and the salt water meet. Because what we
Right.
really are is we're an estuary of salt water that comes up and meets fresh water and creates brackish water. They're following all these chemical cues and these light cues so they could do their migration, so they could spawn in certain regions, grow to a certain size. And once you start putting light pollution on, it completely disorients them, and so they're not able to breed efficiently. They're not finding the right shallows to
function
feed, right?
their daily duties.
So just by having the forest intact here by the railroad, no lights down on the railroad, and no lights right here with these beautiful tuned downward pointing low light pollution, low energy LEDs there, you get enough light for people to function and do what they need to do, and you're not stopping the activities of the wildlife. And then you've got these, what were they called?
Gabion walls.
Gabion walls. It's going to stick in my head. It's going to stick in yours because I keep getting it wrong, and we learn from mistakes. The Gabion walls here that retain this hillside, make sure that you don't have this wash and runoff, because with these floods, what will happen, not only is it damaging to the cars, but if you have this wash going down, the entire hillside collapses. And we can see that in the Mercy Woods down by Draper Lane. They've had to put fencing on two sides there, keeping people away, because after me living here since 1969 and never having a problem there, and leaving Mercy personally in 2016, it was always the same hillside. I come back today, that hillside is washed out, completely gone. It hadn't happened in 50 years of my life. I'd never seen that. And because of this climate crisis that we're having with these intense storms, it's gone. And all those nutrients, all those trees have fallen, everything's washed out to the Hudson and out to sea. It's a tragedy, so we have to intervene, and Mercy's done it. Mercy's created this Gabion wall, and it's retaining this hillside, keeping it structurally solid. It must have been a lot of work to do. This hillside now can flourish, and so the wildlife has a corridor. It can move up north-south, and it can integrate with the remaining forest that's up here that goes out toward Dobbs High School on the aqueduct. When you plant these trees here, for the wildlife's perspective, this is going to be a haven. And I'm just delighted to be back here. And it's not something obvious. And I'm glad that you're here with me as a student to see, like, this is the kind of education that is meaningful. It's meaningful to the students, to the faculty and staff and community. It's meaningful to the people at the landing. It's meaningful to the commuters. It's meaningful to the wildlife, both terrestrial and aquatic. And it's meaningful to the world. So if you're watching somewhere out in the world and you think, what is education doing to confront our most existential problems? well, come to Mercy College because we're tackling them in many ways in and out of the classroom.
Very well said.
Very
Thank
well
you very
said.
much.
Yeah.